Fallacy. A mistaken belief or false reasoning. Logical fallacy. Common fallacy. Traditional fallacy. Fundamental fallacy. Believing that success guarantees happiness is a common but misleading logical fallacy. Media often perpetuates the fallacy that wealth directly equates to personal fulfillment. Alleviate. Reduce pain or difficulty, make easier. Alleviate suffering. Alleviate poverty. Alleviate symptoms. Alleviate concerns. Green spaces in urban areas help alleviate mental health concerns among city residents. Donating to charities helps alleviate poverty in underprivileged communities worldwide. Allegory. A story symbolizing a deeper meaning. Political allegory. Biblical allegory. Literary allegory. Allegory of life. Many religious books contain allegories that convey moral and philosophical lessons. Political allegory in literature often critiques corruption and abuse of executive power. Connotation. The implied meaning beyond definition. Negative connotation. Positive connotation. Cultural connotation. Symbolic connotation. Some words carry a negative connotation, despite their neutral dictionary definitions. The connotation of certain colors varies significantly across different cultural contexts. Blatant. Very obvious, often offensively so. Blatant corruption. Blatant violation. Blatant hypocrisy. Blatant discrimination. The blatant discrimination against women in the workplace remains a serious matter. The blatant violation of environmental laws resulted in significant legal consequences. Clandestine. Done secretly, often to deceive. Clandestine meeting. Clandestine operation. Clandestine affair. Clandestine activities. Their clandestine negotiations resulted in a secret peace treaty between both nations. The journalist uncovered a clandestine plot involving high-ranking government officials. Dissonance. Lack of harmony, conflict in opinions. Cognitive dissonance. Emotional dissonance. Social dissonance. Political dissonance. The film highlights the dissonance between societal ideals and individual aspirations. Cognitive dissonance occurs when one's actions contradict personal beliefs or values. Eloquence. Fluent, persuasive, and graceful speech. Natural eloquence. Political eloquence. Persuasive eloquence. Verbal eloquence. The poet's eloquence conveys deep emotions through simple yet powerful language. The speaker's eloquence transformed a simple message into a powerful call for action. Lethargy. Lack of energy, sluggishness or laziness. Mental lethargy. Physical lethargy. Chronic lethargy. Emotional lethargy. The team's lethargy during the match led to an unexpected and disappointing defeat. Excessive screen time has been linked to social isolation and general lethargy in teens. Nemesis. A strong rival or inescapable fate. Ultimate nemesis. Personal nemesis. Historical nemesis. Political nemesis. Poor time management can be a student's ultimate nemesis during examinations. Inflation has become the nemesis of financial stability in many developing nations. Juxtapose. Place side by side for contrast. Juxtapose ideas. Juxtapose images. Juxtapose concepts. Juxtapose traditions. The artist used contrasting colors to juxtapose darkness and light in his painting. Media often juxtaposes success stories with struggles to create emotional impact. Oblivion. State of being forgotten or unconscious. Fade into oblivion. Eternal oblivion. Cultural oblivion. Sink into oblivion. Many historical landmarks have faded into oblivion due to neglect and innovation. Scientific discoveries that once seemed revolutionary have now faded into oblivion. Disparity. A great difference or inequality. Economic disparity. Educational disparity. Wealth disparity. Gender disparity. There is a stark disparity in healthcare access between rich and poor nations. The disparity in educational resources affects students' academic performance. Prodigy. A person with exceptional abilities. Child prodigy. Athletic prodigy. Artistic prodigy. Scientific prodigy. A musical prodigy requires extensive training and guidance to refine their talents. The prodigy's exceptional abilities earned him a scholarship at a famous university. Scrutiny. Close examination, or detailed inspection. Public scrutiny. Political scrutiny. Media scrutiny. Intense scrutiny. Scrutiny of historical documents revealed hidden details about ancient civilizations. The company's corrupt practices could not escape media scrutiny and public criticism. Undermine. Weaken gradually or damage secretly. Undermine authority. Undermine confidence. Undermine credibility. Undermine progress. Constant criticism from peers can undermine a person's confidence and self-esteem. Climate change threatens to undermine global agricultural systems and food security. Quintessential. The perfect example of something. Quintessential example. Quintessential moment. Quintessential style. Quintessential personality. She embodies the quintessential qualities of a dedicated and compassionate leader. Teamwork is the quintessential factor for success in large-scale collaborative projects. Acumen. Sharpness in judgment or insight. Business acumen. Financial acumen. Strategic acumen. Intellectual acumen. Political acumen is essential for leaders to navigate complex international relations. Financial acumen enables investors to make wise and strategic investment decisions. Fabricate. Invent or construct, often deceptively. Fabricate evidence. Fabricate a story. Fabricate an excuse. Fabricate documents. Scammers often fabricate fake identities to deceive unsuspecting victims online. The scientist refused to fabricate results despite pressure from funding agencies. Discerning. Having keen judgment or insight. Discerning taste. Discerning judgment. Discerning critic. Discerning intellect. Discerning customers always check product quality before making a purchase. The professor's discerning mind helped him identify flaws in the research paper. Erudition. Deep knowledge gained through study. Scholarly erudition. Intellectual erudition. Literary erudition. Historical erudition. Her erudition in history enabled her to analyze ancient manuscripts accurately. Erudition in multiple disciplines can enhance creativity and problem-solving skills. Foresight. Ability to predict or anticipate the future. Strategic foresight. Visionary foresight. Great foresight. Tactical foresight. Urban planners need foresight to create resilient cities against environmental threats. Foresight is crucial when developing sustainable solutions for climate change concerns. Mitigate. Lessen severity, damage, or suffering. Mitigate damage. Mitigate suffering. Mitigate conflict. Mitigate losses. Using public transportation helps mitigate air pollution and traffic congestion in cities. Early detection of diseases can mitigate severe health problems and costly treatments. Grandiose. Impressive but exaggerated or unrealistic. Grandiose vision. Grandiose ideas. Grandiose scheme. Grandiose ambition. His grandiose plan for a luxury resort lacked financial feasibility and practical execution. His grandiose vision for space exploration seemed unrealistic to many scientific experts. Negate. Cancel out or make it ineffective. Negate the purpose. Negate the benefits. Negate an argument. Negate the impact. Advanced security measures help negate potential cyber threats and data breaches. Regular exercise cannot negate the health risks of excessive smoking and drinking. Idiosyncrasy. A unique habit or characteristic. Personal idiosyncrasy. Cultural idiosyncrasy. Linguistic idiosyncrasy. Artistic idiosyncrasy. Each artist has unique idiosyncrasies that shape their distinct creative style and vision. The writer's idiosyncrasies are evident in his quirky, yet captivating narrative methods. Tenacity. Determination and persistence despite difficulty. Unwavering tenacity. Unmatched tenacity. Remarkable tenacity. Incredible tenacity. Successful entrepreneurs exhibit tenacity, pushing through failures to reach their goals. Tenacity is essential for students aiming to succeed in competitive university programs. Surreptitious. Done secretly to avoid detection. Surreptitious meeting. Surreptitious whisper. Surreptitious behavior. Surreptitious affair. Surreptitious surveillance often raises ethical concerns regarding privacy and consent. The film's plot revolves around a surreptitious love affair that unfolds in a strict society. Voracious. Extremely eager or hungry for something. Voracious reader. Voracious appetite. Voracious consumer. Voracious curiosity. His voracious curiosity about the world drove him to explore many different cultures. As a voracious learner, he constantly sought out new knowledge and skills to acquire. Precarious. Dangerous, unstable, or uncertain situation. Precarious situation. Precarious position. Precarious balance. Precarious health. Political instability created a precarious situation for foreign investors and businesses. Precarious employment contracts leave workers vulnerable to sudden job termination. Admonish. Warn or reprimand, gently but firmly. Admonish harshly. Admonish sternly. Admonish publicly. Admonish severely. He felt admonished by his friends when they pointed out his recent reckless behavior. The coach had to admonish the players for their lack of focus during practice sessions. Circumvent. Avoid by cleverness or deception. Circumvent the rules. Circumvent the law. Circumvent restrictions. Circumvent problems. They tried to circumvent the regulations by carefully finding loopholes in the system. Circumventing established protocols can lead to serious consequences in any institute. Evasive. Avoiding direct answers or confrontation. Evasive response. Evasive maneuver. Evasive attitude. Evasive behavior. Evasive behavior can indicate discomfort or a lack of confidence in the subject matter. During negotiations, she remained evasive about her true intentions and future plans. Obfuscate. Make unclear, confusing, or complicated. Obfuscate the truth. Obfuscate meaning. Obfuscate language. Obfuscate intentions. Complex legal jargon can obfuscate important details in contracts and agreements. The report was filled with jargon that seemed designed to obfuscate rather than clarify. Sanguine. Optimistic and confident, even in difficulty. Sanguine attitude. Sanguine outlook. Sanguine personality. Sanguine perspective. Despite challenges, her sanguine outlook on life helped her overcome difficult times. A sanguine personality can be an asset in navigating stressful and uncertain situations. Disdain. Contempt or scorn for something inferior. Express disdain. Disdain for authority. Disdainful attitude. Disdain toward others. The critic's disdain for the artwork was evident in his harsh review of the exhibition. Her disdain for mediocrity pushed her to strive for excellence in all her endeavors. Enigmatic. Mysterious, puzzling, or difficult to understand. Enigmatic smile. Enigmatic remark. Enigmatic presence. Enigmatic expression. His enigmatic smile left everyone wondering about his true thoughts and intentions. Many find her enigmatic personality appealing and are drawn to her mysterious aura. Insidious. Subtly harmful or deceptive over time. Insidious disease. Insidious influence. Insidious nature. Insidious corruption. The insidious effects of procrastination can lead to severe consequences over time. Insidious behaviors in a relationship can weaken trust and lead to emotional damage. Delineation. Clear description or boundary marking. Clear delineation. Precise delineation. Visual delineation. Political delineation. Precise delineation of boundaries is essential in legal agreements to prevent disputes. The artist's delineation of the landscape created a vivid and striking visual experience. Nefarious. Wicked, criminal, or extremely immoral. Nefarious activities. Nefarious scheme. Nefarious individual. Nefarious influence. Hackers engage in nefarious activities, stealing sensitive data from global corporations. The dictator's nefarious regime violated countless human rights without accountability. Ample. More than enough, abundant. Ample evidence. Ample resources. Ample space. Ample supply. There is ample evidence to support the theory, making it difficult to dispute its validity. Ample time for reflection can lead to better insights and more informed choices in life. Cryptic. Mysterious, obscure, or difficult to decipher. Cryptic message. Cryptic remark. Cryptic response. Cryptic prophecy. The ancient text contained cryptic symbols that historians have yet to fully decipher. The film's cryptic ending left audiences debating its meaning long after it concluded. Contradict. Assert the opposite, be inconsistent. Contradict a statement. Contradict an argument. Contradict a belief. Contradict evidence. His actions often contradict his words, creating confusion about his true intentions. The report presented seemed to contradict the initial claims made by the defendant. Onerous. Burdensome, difficult, or excessively demanding. Onerous burden. Onerous regulations. Onerous obligation. Onerous conditions. Environmental cleanup projects involve onerous logistical and financial challenges. Onerous tax policies can discourage small trades from entering competitive markets. Stipulate. Specify a requirement or condition. Stipulate conditions. Stipulate requirements. Stipulate criteria. Stipulate guidelines. The contract stipulates that employees must provide a month's notice before resigning. The lease agreement stipulates that tenants cannot make modifications to the property. Juxtaposition. Placing things together for contrast. Juxtaposition of colors. Juxtaposition of ideas. Juxtaposition of cultures. Juxtaposition of images. The documentary effectively uses juxtaposition to contrast urban and rural lifestyles. The juxtaposition of science and religion in the discussion sparked an engaging debate. Conjecture. A guess based on incomplete information. Wild conjecture. Logical conjecture. Scientific conjecture. Speculative conjecture. Their theory was based on pure conjecture, rather than concrete scientific evidence. His conjecture about the company's financial health proved to be entirely inaccurate. Impetuous. Acting suddenly without careful thought. Impetuous decision. Impetuous response. Impetuous nature. Impetuous reaction. She regretted her impetuous response during the heated argument with her friend. The young leader's impetuous actions caused tension among the government officials. Divergent. Moving apart, or differing significantly. divergent opinions, divergent views, divergent interests, divergent cultures. Cultural differences often lead to divergent analyses of social norms and traditions. Political debates often highlight divergent perspectives on social and economic topics. Propensity. A natural tendency or strong inclination. Propensity for violence. Propensity for risk-taking. Propensity for learning. Propensity to exaggerate. She has a strong propensity for solving complex mathematical problems efficiently. The country's propensity for economic instability discourages foreign investments. Coerce. Force someone to act unwillingly. Coerce into action. Coerce a confession. Coerce agreement. Coerce submission. The government cannot legally coerce citizens into accepting restrictive policies. The suspect claimed he was coerced into confessing to a crime he did not commit. Dubious. Doubtful, suspicious, or unreliable. Dubious character. Dubious distinction. Dubious reputation. Dubious decision. His dubious explanation for the missing funds raised suspicion among the auditors. The online reviews seemed dubious, making customers hesitant to buy the product. Amendment. A formal change or addition to something. Proposed amendment. Constitutional amendment. Major amendment. Minor amendment. An amendment to the Constitution can have far-reaching consequences on society. The amendment process allows for changes to be made, when necessary over time. Accomplish. To successfully achieve or complete a task. Accomplish a goal. Accomplish a task. Accomplish an objective. Accomplish great things. Teamwork and collaboration help people accomplish difficult tasks more effectively. To accomplish personal growth, one must overcome challenges and embrace change. Multicultural. Involving or representing diverse cultural groups. Multicultural society. Multicultural community. Multicultural approach. Multicultural influence. The multicultural festival celebrated a wide array of cultural traditions and practices. A multicultural society fosters diversity and encourages respect for different cultures. Scarcity. A shortage or lack of something essential. Scarcity of resources. Scarcity of commodities. Scarcity of supplies. Scarcity of raw materials. Water scarcity is becoming an increasingly urgent topic in many regions worldwide. Food scarcity in impoverished areas remains a significant challenge for global health. Fraudulent. Involving deception or dishonesty for personal gain. Fraudulent scheme. Fraudulent transaction. Fraudulent claim. Fraudulent email. Fraudulent activities in the financial sector often result in significant economic losses. Fraudulent advertising practices can mislead consumers and damage brand reputation. Surpass. To exceed or go beyond expectations or limits. Surpass a mark. Surpass a record. Surpass an achievement. Surpass an expectation. New technologies continue to surpass traditional methods in efficiency and accuracy. Technological advancements will soon surpass human capabilities in many industries. Correlation. A mutual relationship or connection between things. A strong correlation. A direct correlation. A positive correlation. A negative correlation. A correlation exists between high sugar consumption and increased risk of diabetes. The study examines the correlation between sleep patterns and academic performance. Cross-section. A representative sample or portion of something. A cross-section of people. A cross-section of society. A cross-section of humanity. Cross-section of opinions. The museum exhibited a cross-section of ancient artifacts from diverse cultures. The survey provided a cross-section of opinions from various demographic groups. Depletion. The reduction or exhaustion of resources or supply. Depletion of resources. Depletion of funds. Depletion of energy. Depletion of stocks. The depletion of the ozone layer has caused significant environmental concerns. Deforestation contributes to the depletion of biodiversity in tropical rainforests. Entrepreneurial. Involving risk-taking or running a business. Entrepreneurial culture. Entrepreneurial spirit. Entrepreneurial mindset. Entrepreneurial venture. Many students are encouraged to develop an entrepreneurial mindset for success. The entrepreneurial ecosystem thrives in cities with strong support and resources. Facilitate. To make a process easier or more efficient. Facilitate dialogue. Facilitate cooperation. Facilitate integration. Facilitate access. Training programs are designed to facilitate the development of essential expertise. Educational reforms aim to facilitate greater inclusion and accessibility for students. Protocol. An official procedure or system of rules. A wireless protocol. An internet protocol. An encryption protocol. A network protocol. Diplomats are trained in international protocols to maintain diplomatic relations. In the event of a data breach, companies must follow protocol to mitigate damage. Proximity. The state of being near or close to something. Close proximity. Geographical proximity. Physical proximity. Intimate proximity. Living in close proximity to public transport reduces commuting time significantly. Proximity to global markets enables businesses to expand and increase profitability. Deliberate. Done on purpose, intentional or planned. Deliberate attempt. Deliberate action. Deliberate effort. Deliberate decision. The government made a deliberate effort to reduce carbon emissions nationwide. Negotiations require deliberate planning to ensure mutually beneficial agreements. Condemn. To express strong disapproval of something. Strongly condemn. Bitterly condemn. Publicly condemn. Unequivocally condemn. The judge condemned corruption, emphasizing its detrimental effects on governance. Leaders should condemn violence instead of encouraging further conflicts and division. Dogma. A set of principles considered unquestionable. Ideological dogma. Religious dogma. Cultural dogma. Outdated dogma. Political dogma should not interfere with rational decision-making and governance. Cultural dogma often leads to a rigid adherence to outdated ideas, blocking progress. Inference. A conclusion drawn from evidence and reasoning. A reasonable inference. A logical inference. Draw an inference. Make an inference. Inference about the cause of the event can be made by analyzing available evidence. The detective made an inference from the clues, leading to the conclusion of the case. Intrinsic. Belonging naturally, essential to the nature. Intrinsic value. Intrinsic worth. Intrinsic merit. Intrinsic importance. Intrinsic motivation fosters deeper engagement and long-term success in learning. The intrinsic value of a product is often more important than its external appearance. Status quo. The existing state of affairs or conditions. Maintain the status quo. Support the status quo. Change the status quo. Threaten the status quo. Challenging the status quo can lead to innovation and positive societal transformations. The status quo in education needs to be re-evaluated to address modern learning needs. Discrepancy. A inconsistency between two things. Discrepancy in data. Discrepancy between reports. Discrepancy in results. Discrepancy in figures. The government must address the discrepancy in income distribution across regions. A discrepancy in eyewitness accounts complicated the ongoing criminal investigation. Accumulate. To gather or collect over time. Accumulate wealth. Accumulate debt. Accumulate wisdom. Accumulate knowledge. Poor financial management often leads to accumulating significant debt over time. Over time, small savings can accumulate into a significant amount if invested wisely. Epitome. A perfect example, or embodiment of something. Epitome of elegance. Epitome of success. Epitome of excellence. Epitome of beauty. The athlete's performance at the Olympics was the epitome of devotion and discipline. The museum's collection is the epitome of human creativity and historical significance. Pernicious. Having a harmful or destructive effect. Pernicious effect. Pernicious influence. Pernicious habit. Pernicious behavior. Climate change has a pernicious impact on biodiversity, leading to species extinction. The pandemic has had a pernicious effect on global economies and employment rates. Assurance. Confidence or guarantee about something happening. Assurance of safety. Assurance of security. Assurance of support. Assurance of loyalty. With a strong assurance, She persuaded the committee to approve the new policy. The company gave assurance that all products meet international quality standards. Endorsement. Official approval or support of something. Endorsement of a product. Endorsement of a brand. Endorsement of a company. Endorsement of a movie. The celebrity's endorsement significantly boosted the brand's sales and public image. Endorsement by influential figures often impacts public perception and market trends. Franchise. Sanction to sell or distribute goods and services. A franchise holder. A franchise outlet. A franchise chain. A franchise store. Owning a franchise allows entrepreneurs to operate under a well-established brand. The franchise agreement outlined strict regulations for maintaining brand standards. Conventional. Following established customs, traditions, or standards. Conventional wisdom. Conventional thinking. Conventional treatment. Conventional methods. Conventional farming practices may not be sustainable in the face of climate change. Conventional diets may not always promote long-term health or weight management. Cooperative. Involving mutual assistance or joint effort. Cooperative approach. Cooperative effort. Cooperative relationship. Cooperative research. In a cooperative society, people share resources and support each other's well-being. Cooperative learning in classrooms enhances students' ability to work collaboratively. Genetic. Related to genes or inherited characteristics. Genetic engineering. Genetic modification. Genetic mutation. Genetic testing. Many diseases are linked to genetic factors that influence individual susceptibility. Genetic disorders can often be prevented through early diagnosis and intervention. Pragmatic. Focused on practical, realistic solutions or ideas. A pragmatic approach. A pragmatic attitude. A pragmatic view. A pragmatic reason. Adopting a pragmatic approach is crucial in solving real-world problems effectively. A pragmatic solution would focus on practical, achievable results rather than theory. Perpetuate. To make something continue indefinitely. Perpetuate a myth. Perpetuate an image. Perpetuate a tradition. Perpetuate a stereotype. Schools should promote inclusivity rather than perpetuate outdated societal norms. By ignoring history, we may unintentionally perpetuate the same mistakes of the past. Scrutinize. To examine something closely and thoroughly. Scrutinize the details. Scrutinize a proposal. Scrutinize evidence. Scrutinize behavior. It is important to scrutinize scientific claims critically before accepting them as truth. Employers scrutinize job applications to ensure that the best candidates are selected. Sycophant. A person who flatters others for personal gain. Sycophant behavior. Sycophant praise. Sycophant attitude. Sycophant remarks. The sycophant constantly flattered his boss in hopes of receiving a promotion or favor. Leadership is undermined by sycophants, who seek power rather than the greater good. Abnormal. Not usual, typical, or expected, unusual. Abnormal bleeding. Abnormal behavior. Abnormal rhythm. Abnormal heartbeat. The experiment's abnormal results prompted further investigation by researchers. Abnormal variance in the stock market can be attributed to unforeseen global events. Outbreak. A sudden occurrence of something undesirable. Disease outbreak. Devastating outbreak. Measles outbreak. Sporadic outbreaks. The sudden outbreak of the disease caused widespread panic and a swift response. The outbreak of protests led to the deployment of additional police forces in the city. Exemption. Freedom from an obligation or rule. Exemption from a law. Exemption from a tax. Seek an exemption. Grant an exemption. Certain businesses may receive an exemption from taxes if they meet specific criteria. Exemptions to school policies may be made in cases of medical emergencies or crises. Plagiarize. Copy someone else's work without permission. Plagiarize a story. Plagiarize a speech. Plagiarize a passage. Plagiarize an essay. Plagiarizing someone's work without proper citation violates academic integrity policies. Many professionals face legal consequences when they plagiarize copyrighted material. Acerbic. Sharp, biting, or bitter in tone or taste. Acerbic wit. Acerbic tone. Acerbic criticism. Acerbic remark. The politician's acerbic speech alienated many of his supporters with its harsh criticism. The acerbic reaction to the decision showed the deep frustration among the community. Sagacious. Wise, shrewd, or having good judgment. Sagacious leader. Sagacious decision. Sagacious judgment. Sagacious insight. His sagacious leadership transformed the company into an industry-leading enterprise. His sagacious advice helped the team navigate through difficult challenges and succeed. Definitive. Clearly defined and conclusive in nature. A definitive answer. A definitive agreement. A definitive statement. A definitive conclusion. The study aims to provide a definitive outline for environmental protection policies. The study provided definitive evidence supporting the need for educational reform. Eradication. The complete removal or destruction of something. Eradication of poverty. Eradication of corruption. Eradication of inequality. The eradication of racism. The eradication of poverty requires systemic changes and long-term global efforts. Global cooperation is essential for the eradication of terrorism and organized crime. Domestic. Relating to home or within a country. Domestic affairs. Domestic dispute. Domestic flights. Domestic violence. Domestic affairs are often influenced by international relationships and policies. The domestic market is experiencing significant growth in the technology sector. Incentive. A motivation or encouragement to act. A financial incentive. An additional incentive. A cash incentive. An extra incentive. Providing incentives for innovation can stimulate growth within the tech industry. Employee incentives are essential for boosting morale and reducing turnover rates. Provoke. To stimulate or induce a reaction, typically negative. Provoke a reaction. Provoke a response. Provoke a backlash. Provoke an outcry. His speech was intended to provoke thought and stimulate meaningful discussion. The new law may provoke a backlash from human rights organizations worldwide. Subsidiary. A company controlled by a parent organization. Subsidiary company. Subsidiary corporation. Subsidiary conglomerate. Subsidiary bank. A subsidiary company can benefit from the expertise of its parent organization. The subsidiary handles all the local distribution of the parent company's products. Adhere. To stick firmly to something or follow. Adhere to beliefs. Adhere to ideals. Adhere to principle. Adhere to standards. Employees must adhere to company policies for efficient workplace management. The research team must adhere to ethical guidelines when conducting experiments. Unforeseen. Unexpected or not anticipated beforehand. An unforeseen circumstance. An unforeseen consequence. An unforeseen event. An unforeseen complication. Unforeseen challenges arose during the construction of the new healthcare facility. The unforeseen impact of the policy surprised even the most experienced analysts. Long-term. Lasting or intended to endure over time. Long-term care. Long-term effects. Long-term exposure. Long-term hazards. Investing in education leads to long-term economic and social development benefits. The long-term effects of climate change require immediate global policy interventions. Anticipate. To expect or predict something in advance. Anticipate a decline. Anticipate a slowdown. Anticipate a reaction. Anticipate a response. Many students anticipate a difficult transition to university life, but adapt quickly. Experts anticipate significant technological advancements in the next few decades. Diplomatic. Skilled in managing sensitive affairs or negotiations. Diplomatic activities. Diplomatic discussion. Diplomatic mission. Diplomatic relations. Diplomacy plays a crucial role in maintaining peaceful relations between nations. A diplomatic solution can often lead to peaceful conflict resolution among nations. Dwindling. Gradually decrease in size, amount, or strength. Dwindling supply. Dwindling resources. Dwindling economy. Dwindling population. Dwindling resources are a significant concern for developing nations in the future. The world's biodiversity is dwindling due to habitat destruction and climate change. Yield. To produce or provide an outcome. Yield results. Yield information. Yield clues. Yield insights. The research yielded promising results, indicating a potential breakthrough in medicine. High-quality education systems yield better outcomes for students and society overall. Oblivious. Unaware or forgetful of surrounding circumstances. Oblivious to danger. Oblivious to surroundings. Oblivious to the facts. Oblivious to criticism. The tourists were oblivious to cultural norms, unintentionally offending many locals. Many people remain oblivious to the long-term consequences of unhealthy eating. Surreptitious. Done in a secretive or stealthy manner. Surreptitious glance. Surreptitious behavior. Surreptitious actions. Surreptitious attempt. Their surreptitious conversations raised suspicions among colleagues in the office. Her surreptitious behavior during the negotiations raised doubts about her intentions. Replicate. To make an exact copy of something. Replicate the results. Replicate a study. Replicate an experiment. Replicate success. The coach encouraged players to replicate professional athletes' training routines. Students attempted to replicate the chemistry experiment in their laboratory session. Indigenous. Originating or naturally found in a particular place. Indigenous culture. Indigenous people. Indigenous species. Indigenous knowledge. Indigenous cultures often have a deep spiritual connection to the land and nature. Indigenous languages are at risk of disappearing without active preservation efforts. Consecutive. Following continuously without interruption. Consecutive days. Consecutive nights. Consecutive months. Consecutive years. The consecutive delays in production have affected the timely delivery of products. The consecutive interviews resulted in a job offer, marking the start of a new career. Discretionary. Left to individual judgment or choice. Discretionary authority. Discretionary power. Discretionary grant. Discretionary fund. Employees enjoy a discretionary bonus based on their performance during the year. Discretionary decisions about hiring should be based on skills, experience, and merit. Artifact. Object made by human hands, typically historical. A cultural artifact. A historical artifact. An archaeological artifact. An ancient artifact. Archaeologists discovered an artifact that provided insight into prehistoric cultures. Artifacts from ancient civilizations help historians understand early human societies. Compensate. To make up for a loss or deficiency. Financially compensated. Adequately compensated. Amply compensated. Fully compensated. Companies should compensate employees fairly for their time, skills, and dedication. The company provided benefits to compensate for the employees' long working hours. Deterioration. The process of becoming worse or declining. Rapid deterioration. Significant deterioration. Physical deterioration. Gradual deterioration. Urban deterioration affects infrastructure, public safety, and overall living conditions. The deterioration of moral values affects societal harmony and ethical decision-making. Hegemony. Dominance or leadership by one group. Political hegemony. Cultural hegemony. Economic hegemony. Global hegemony. The empire's hegemony began to decline due to internal conflicts and external threats. Many nations resist the hegemony of powerful countries by strengthening their alliances. Unpredictable. Impossible to foresee or anticipate accurately. Unpredictable result. Unpredictable situation. Unpredictable weather. Unpredictable consequences. The unpredictable nature of the stock market can cause significant financial instability. His unpredictable moods often caused confusion among his colleagues at the workplace. Fluctuate. To vary or change frequently in degree. Fluctuate wildly. Fluctuate in price. Fluctuate with demand. Fluctuate over time. Public opinion can fluctuate, particularly in response to political campaigns or scandals. Prices of essential commodities fluctuate, especially during times of economic instability. Deviation. Departure from an established custom or norm. Deviation from a path. Deviation from a pattern. Deviation from a rule. Deviation in behavior. A deviation in the experiment's results raised questions about the accuracy of the data. A deviation in temperature from the norm can signal significant environmental changes. Entity. An individual or organization with existence. A distinct entity. A separate entity. An autonomous entity. An independent entity. Multinational entities face unique challenges when operating in foreign markets. The organization is recognized as a prominent entity in environmental conservation. Privilege. A special right or advantage given. A privileged background. A privileged upbringing. A privileged position. A privileged class. Wealth can grant individuals privileges, but it doesn't guarantee happiness or success. The privilege of voting should be exercised responsibly to ensure democratic fairness. Viability. Capability of functioning or surviving successfully. Financial viability. Economic viability. Commercial viability. Long-term viability. The viability of the new business model was tested through a detailed market analysis. Government intervention might be necessary to ensure the viability of small businesses. Ambiguous. Having more than one possible interpretation. Ambiguous statement. Ambiguous meaning. Ambiguous response. Ambiguous situation. Ambiguous instructions in the manual caused confusion during the assembly process. The ambiguous wording of the contract led to misunderstandings between the parties. Handy. Convenient and easy to use or access. Handy tool. Handy device. Handy information. Handy tips. A portable charger is handy when traveling for long hours without a power source. Having a versatile toolkit is handy when performing home repairs or maintenance. Fastest growing. Increasing in size or number quickly. Fastest growing economy. Fastest growing market. Fastest growing religion. Fastest growing segment. E-commerce has become one of the fastest growing business models worldwide. The fastest growing cities are those with booming technology and business sectors. Connotation. The implied meaning beyond the literal definition. Negative connotation. Positive connotation. Racist connotation. Emotional connotation. In literature, symbols often carry deep connotations, beyond their literal meaning. Cultural differences can influence the connotation of certain terms or expressions. Irreparable. Impossible to fix, or restore to its original state. Irreparable damage. Irreparable harm. Irreparable injury. Irreparable loss. A damaged reputation may result in irreparable consequences for public figures. His betrayal inflicted irreparable damage on their long-standing friendship and trust. Patent. A legal right granted for an invention. A drug patent. An invention patent. A product patent. A software patent. The inventor obtained a patent for his groundbreaking renewable energy technology. The patent application process requires extensive documentation and legal approval. Statutory. Required, permitted, or enacted by law. A statutory duty. A statutory requirement. A statutory obligation. A statutory provision. Statutory obligations compel governments to ensure citizens' rights and uphold justice. Statutory taxes are levied by the government to fund public services and infrastructure. Formidable. Causing fear or respect due to strength. Formidable opponent. Formidable challenge. Formidable task. Formidable reputation. Climate change remains a formidable challenge, requiring urgent global cooperation. The formidable team of experts tackled the complex scientific problem with precision. Arduous. Involving considerable effort, difficult or strenuous. Arduous task. Arduous journey. Arduous process. Arduous work. The arduous journey through the mountains tested the endurance of every traveler. The arduous training regimen pushed the athletes to their physical and mental limits. Superfluous. More than is needed or required. Superfluous detail. Superfluous information. Superfluous expenses. Superfluous work. We must eliminate superfluous expenses to ensure the project stays within budget. Superfluous details in the presentation made it more difficult to follow the argument. Exorbitant. Excessive or unreasonably high in price. Exorbitant prices. Exorbitant fees. Exorbitant demands. Exorbitant costs. Some medications have exorbitant prices, making healthcare inaccessible for many. Some ticket vendors charge exorbitant prices for entry to popular concerts and events. Precaution. A measure taken in advance to prevent harm. Safety precautions. Security precautions. Extra precautions. Health precautions. The company recalled defective products as a precaution for customer safety concerns. Extra security measures were implemented as a precaution against possible cyber attacks. Emerging. Starting to exist, develop, or become prominent. Emerging markets. Emerging problems. Emerging technology. Emerging trends. Emerging technologies are reshaping industries and transforming global economies. Many emerging startups focus on innovative solutions for environmental challenges. Legitimate. Conforming to the law or rules, lawful. A legitimate heir. A legitimate ruler. A legitimate marriage. A legitimate excuse. The company provided legitimate reasons for the sudden increase in product prices. She provided legitimate documentation to prove her eligibility for financial assistance. Penultimate. Second to last in a sequence. The penultimate stage. The penultimate phase. The penultimate chapter. The penultimate paragraph. The speaker's penultimate point emphasized the need for immediate policy changes. His performance in the penultimate round determined his overall competition ranking. Redundancy. Unnecessary repetition or superfluous information. Compulsory redundancies. Voluntary redundancy. A redundancy package. A redundancy program. The firm implemented job cuts due to financial difficulties and workforce redundancy. The manager's speech was full of redundancy, repeating the same points over and over. Conducive. Making a certain situation or outcome likely. Conducive environment. Conducive to learning. Conducive to growth. Conducive to success. Effective leadership creates a conducive atmosphere for innovation and collaboration. Proper nutrition and exercise are conducive to maintaining overall physical well-being. Paragon. A perfect example of a particular quality. Paragon of virtue. Paragon of excellence. Paragon of wisdom. Paragon of beauty. The athlete's dedication to training made him a paragon of discipline and excellence. Their paragon of customer service has set the standard for other businesses to follow. Sanguine. Hopeful, especially in difficult situations. Sanguine outlook. Sanguine temperament. Sanguine expectations. Sanguine personality. Even during tough times, a sanguine perspective helps maintain optimism and impetus. The scientist remained sanguine about technological advancements in medical research. Ubiquitous. Present or found everywhere simultaneously. Ubiquitous presence. Ubiquitous technology. Ubiquitous advertising. Ubiquitous influence. Fast food chains are ubiquitous, offering convenient meals in most cities worldwide. The influence of social media is ubiquitous, affecting nearly every aspect of daily life. Accentuate. Emphasize or make something more noticeable. Accentuate a difference. Accentuate the positive. Accentuate the need. Accentuate the beauty. The speaker's tone was designed to accentuate the importance of the main argument. The director used slow-motion shots to accentuate the emotional intensity of the scene. Compulsory. Required by law or necessity and mandatory. Compulsory vaccination. Compulsory schooling. Compulsory retirement. Compulsory insurance. In some nations, it is compulsory for adults to participate in community service programs. The school made physical education compulsory for all students to promote healthy living. Pragmatic. Practical and focused on real-world results. Pragmatic approach. Pragmatic solution. Pragmatic decision. Pragmatic viewpoint. A pragmatic approach is essential when addressing complex societal matters effectively. Pragmatic solutions often lead to the most sustainable outcomes in conflict resolution. Rigid. Stiff, inflexible, or strict in structure. A rigid structure. A rigid hierarchy. A rigid schedule. A rigid timetable. A rigid approach to problem solving often limits the potential for alternative solutions. The rigid structure of the corporate hierarchy stifles employee initiative and autonomy. Adverse. Harmful or unfavorable to a situation. Adverse effects. Adverse reaction. Adverse outcome. Adverse circumstances. The company faced adverse economic impacts due to unforeseen global market shifts. Prolonged exposure to harmful chemicals can have adverse effects on the environment. Prominent. Well-known and easily noticeable. A prominent role. A prominent figure. A prominent feature. A prominent celebrity. The prominent architecture of the building reflects the city's rich cultural heritage. The city is known for its prominent landmarks that attract a lot of tourists annually. Groundbreaking. Innovative or revolutionary in nature. Groundbreaking research. Groundbreaking discovery. Groundbreaking ceremony. Groundbreaking study. The groundbreaking study on sleep patterns has opened up new research avenues. The company's groundbreaking product quickly became a global leader in its industry. Inherent. Existing as an essential, permanent characteristic. An inherent risk. An inherent danger. An inherent characteristic. An inherent contradiction. Honesty and integrity are inherent qualities that should be valued in all professionals. Trust is an inherent component of strong interpersonal relationships in the workplace. Fundamental. Essential or foundational to something. Fundamental obstacle. Fundamental problem. Fundamental question. Fundamental rights. The fundamental problem in the healthcare system is the lack of access to quality care. Education is a fundamental human right that should be accessible to all children globally. Archive. A collection of historical records or documents. An archive of photographs. An archive of documents. A digital archive. A historical archive. Researchers rely on historical archives to analyze past social and economic trends. The library maintains an extensive archive of historical documents and manuscripts. Exposure. The state of being subject to something. Exposure to risk. Exposure to danger. Exposure to chemicals. Exposure to ideas. Increased exposure to digital technology can have both positive and negative effects. The pivotal moment in the history of technology occurred with the Internet's arrival. Formulate. Develop or create a strategy or plan. Formulate a strategy. Formulate a policy. Formulate a hypothesis. Formulate a theory. The company must formulate a long-term strategy to expand into international markets. Economists need to formulate effective measures to reduce income inequality worldwide. Articulate. Express clearly and coherently in speech. Articulate speech. Articulate a point. Articulate clearly. Articulate in discussion. The spokesperson articulated the company's vision for future innovation and growth. She was articulate in presenting her research findings at the international conference. Humanitarian. Concerned with human welfare and social reforms. Humanitarian aid. Humanitarian crisis. Humanitarian relief. Humanitarian effort. The government must prioritize humanitarian efforts to address the refugee crisis. Many humanitarian aid groups are working to provide food to disaster-stricken areas. Pivotal. Of crucial importance, central to success. A pivotal role. A pivotal moment. A pivotal point. A pivotal position. The pivotal moment in the movie changed the characters' perspectives drastically. Technology plays a pivotal role in shaping modern education and learning methods. Secular. Not related to religion or spiritual matters. A secular society. A secular regime. A secular ideology. A secular democracy. Secular organizations work to address social problems without any religious affiliations. Secular laws govern the rights and responsibilities of citizens in democratic countries. Testimony. Evidence or declaration given under oath. A written testimony. A false testimony. A court testimony. An expert testimony. The defendant's testimony contradicted previous statements from other witnesses. Scientific testimony about the climate crisis influenced governmental policy changes. Abuse. To treat someone or something badly. Abuse of alcohol. Abuse of drugs. Abuse of authority. Abuse of power. Physical and emotional abuse can have lasting impacts on an individual's mental health. The abuse of power by government officials leads to pervasive corruption and injustice. Nostalgic. Sentimental longing for past experiences. Nostalgic memories. Nostalgic feeling. Nostalgic about the past. Nostalgic longing. The old photographs made me feel nostalgic about my childhood and simpler times. The nostalgic scent of homemade cookies reminded her of her grandmother's kitchen. Arbitrary. Based on random choice, not reason. An arbitrary arrest. An arbitrary imprisonment. An arbitrary execution. An arbitrary deadline. The arbitrary nature of his punishment sparked criticism from human rights activists. His arbitrary selection of candidates led to unfair hiring practices within the company. Autonomous. Self-governing, independent in decision-making. An autonomous region. An autonomous province. An autonomous company. An autonomous unit. Each university operates as an autonomous institution under government regulations. Developing autonomous drones has modernized the logistics and surveillance industries. Concurrent. Occurring at the same time or simultaneously. Concurrent events. Concurrent symptoms. Concurrent infections. Concurrent occurrences. The conference featured multiple concurrent sessions on various academic disciplines. The government addressed concurrent issues of poverty and environmental degradation. Distortion. Twisting or misrepresentation of facts or reality. Distortion of the truth. Distortion of the history. Distortion of the facts. Distortion of the image. The news article contained a distortion of facts, leading to widespread public confusion. Over-exaggeration often leads to the distortion of the true meaning behind a statement. Flippant. Not showing seriousness or respect, shallow. Flippant remark. Flippant attitude. Flippant response. Flippant behavior. A flippant attitude toward education can negatively impact academic performance. The journalist's flippant comment about global poverty received widespread criticism. Hierarchy. System of ranking or organizing by authority. A social hierarchy. A corporate hierarchy. A bureaucratic hierarchy. A business hierarchy. The military hierarchy ensures clear command structures and operational efficiency. Digital platforms are disrupting conventional hierarchy structures in various industries. Incorporate. Combine or include something as part of. Incorporate a feature. Incorporate an idea. Incorporate a system. Incorporate a technology. New policies incorporate scientific research to address climate change effectively. Architects incorporate green spaces to promote urban sustainability and well-being. Pressing. Urgent, requiring immediate attention or action. A pressing issue. A pressing concern. A pressing problem. A pressing question. Healthcare reforms are a pressing necessity for improving public health outcomes. Pressing issues such as poverty and inequality must be prioritized by global leaders. Sovereign. Supreme ruler or independent state authority. A sovereign nation. A sovereign state. A sovereign government. A sovereign society. The sovereign power of a state ensures that it governs without external interference. International law respects the sovereignty of nations in matters of territorial integrity. Hypothesize. Formulate a theory or educated guess. Hypothesize a theory. Hypothesize a cause. Hypothesize the outcome. Hypothesize a result. The study aims to hypothesize the effects of climate change on global agricultural yields. Biologists hypothesize that new species may be discovered in remote parts of the world. Exemplary. Serving as a perfect model or example. Exemplary behavior. Exemplary performance. Exemplary service. Exemplary leadership. The book provides an exemplary analysis of modern economic challenges worldwide. His exemplary leadership skills contributed significantly to the company's rapid success. Meticulous. Showing great attention to detail or accuracy. Meticulous planning. Meticulous attention. Meticulous work. Meticulous detail. A meticulous examination of the data revealed patterns that were initially overlooked. His meticulous nature made him the perfect candidate for overseeing the audit process. Disseminate. To spread or distribute information widely. Disseminate information. Disseminate knowledge. Disseminate research. Disseminate news. Effective leaders disseminate clear instructions to ensure smooth project execution. The campaign aims to disseminate information about climate change and its impact. Mundane. Lacking excitement, ordinary or routine. Mundane task. Mundane activity. Mundane routine. Mundane details. The film transformed a mundane event into an extraordinary cinematic experience. Mundane office work often discourages employees from reaching their full potential. Acknowledgement. Recognition of something or someone's existence. Formal acknowledgement. Generous acknowledgement. Public acknowledgement. Sincere acknowledgement. The scientist received acknowledgement for his groundbreaking research in medicine. His acknowledgement of the dispute helped resolve the conflict between both parties. Speculation. Forming opinions without sufficient evidence. Intense speculation. Widespread speculation. Fuel speculation. Spark speculation. Economic speculation influences stock market fluctuations and investment risks. The housing market is influenced by speculation regarding future economic trends. Unethical. Not morally correct or right behavior. Unethical practices. Unethical activity. Unethical conduct. Unethical behavior. Many corporations face criticism for engaging in unethical labor practices abroad. Publishing false information is considered highly unethical in professional journalism. Aggravate. To make a situation worse or more intense. Aggravate the situation. Aggravate the problem. Aggravate the condition. Aggravate the symptoms. Excessive stress can aggravate underlying health conditions, leading to complications. Disrespectful behavior towards others can aggravate conflicts and hinder resolution. Succinct. Briefly and clearly expressed without excess. A succinct summary. A succinct description. A succinct statement. A succinct verdict. The speaker provided a succinct summary of the research findings in his presentation. In professional communication, being succinct can enhance clarity and understanding. Pinpoint. Identify precisely or locate with accuracy. Pinpoint location. Pinpoint accuracy. Pinpoint problem. Pinpoint source. The study aimed to pinpoint specific factors influencing climate change globally. Researchers worked to pinpoint the most effective strategies for tackling poverty. Chronic. Persisting for a long time or repeatedly. Chronic anxiety. Chronic illnesses. Chronic infection. Chronic headache. Air pollution can lead to chronic respiratory problems among urban populations. Chronic diseases require long-term medical care and proper lifestyle management. Cognitive. Related to mental processes or perception. Cognitive development. Cognitive impairment. Cognitive skills. Cognitive psychology. Cognitive development in children is influenced by early educational experiences. Bilingualism has been linked to improved cognitive flexibility and problem solving. Vivid. Producing powerful, clear, and lifelike images. A vivid description. A vivid portrait. A vivid imagery. A vivid recollection. The documentary offered a vivid portrayal of climate change's devastating effects. The vivid contrast between wealth and poverty highlights economic disparity globally. Eloquent. Fluent or persuasive in speaking or writing. Eloquent speech. Eloquent argument. Eloquent writing. Eloquent speaker. His eloquent words expressed deep gratitude for his supporters' encouragement. The poet's eloquent verses reflect his profound understanding of human emotions. Conclusive. Final and decisive, leaves no doubt. Conclusive evidence. Conclusive proof. Conclusive results. Conclusive decision. Conclusive evidence from the investigation led to the conviction of the defendant. A conclusive decision was made, after careful consideration of all available evidence. Hedonistic. Pursuing pleasure as the highest goal. Hedonistic lifestyle. Hedonistic pleasure. Hedonistic pursuits. Hedonistic tendencies. His hedonistic lifestyle revolved around pleasure, luxury, and extravagant experiences. Some argue that a hedonistic approach neglects responsibilities and societal obligations. Exacerbate. Make a situation worse or more severe. Exacerbate a problem. Exacerbate a situation. Exacerbate a conflict. Exacerbate a crisis. Poor infrastructure can exacerbate traffic congestion in rapidly growing urban areas. Delayed medical treatment can exacerbate minor health conditions into severe ones. Insipid. Lacking flavor, interest, or excitement. Insipid food. Insipid conversation. Insipid performance. Insipid remark. His insipid speech lacked enthusiasm, making the audience lose attention quickly. Many students found the professor's insipid lecture difficult to stay engaged with. Predominant. Most important, or widely observed element. A predominant symptom. A predominant characteristic. A predominant influence. A predominant role. English is the predominant language of international business and scientific research. Social media is the predominant platform for modern communication and networking. Repercussion. Consequence or effect of an action or event. Serious repercussions. Potential repercussions. Negative repercussions. Damaging repercussions. Ignoring health precautions may lead to serious repercussions during a pandemic. Economic sanctions can have severe repercussions on a country's financial stability. Safeguard. Protect something from harm or danger. A legal safeguard. An adequate safeguard. An appropriate safeguard. An environmental safeguard. Stricter regulations are necessary to safeguard endangered species from extinction. Strong banking regulations safeguard consumers from financial fraud and exploitation. Deteriorate. Gradually decline in quality or condition. Deteriorate over time. Deteriorate rapidly. deteriorate in quality, deteriorate health. Relations between the two countries began to deteriorate due to unresolved conflicts. Lack of investment will cause infrastructure to deteriorate, affecting economic growth. Exaggerate. Overstate or amplify beyond the truth. Exaggerate the truth. Exaggerate a story. Exaggerate the facts. Exaggerate the impact. Advertisers exaggerate product benefits to persuade consumers to make purchases. The movie exaggerated historical events, making it less accurate, but more dramatic. Substantiate. Provide evidence to support or prove. Substantiate a claim. Substantiate a theory. Substantiate an argument. Substantiate evidence. The teacher asked students to substantiate their arguments with credible sources. His claims about corruption were difficult to substantiate without concrete evidence. Unprecedented. Never before seen or experienced, unique. Unprecedented growth. Unprecedented change. Unprecedented success. Unprecedented situation. Unprecedented challenges require innovative solutions and strong leadership skills. Technological advancements have led to unprecedented growth in various industries. Cessation. Stopping or discontinuation of an activity. Cessation of hostilities. Cessation of payments. Cessation of activities. Cessation of services. The company's cessation of production resulted in significant layoffs and job insecurity. The cessation of illegal logging was a major step toward protecting endangered species. Resilient. Able to recover quickly from setbacks. Resilient individual. Resilient mindset. Resilient community. Resilient fabric. A resilient economy can withstand financial crises with minimal long-term impact. The community remained resilient despite natural disasters and economic struggles. Confront. Face or challenge something directly. Confront a problem. Confront a challenge. Confront the barrier. Confront someone. Many students choose to confront their fears by taking part in public speaking events. It is essential to confront challenges head-on for effective personal growth and success. Vulnerable. Susceptible to harm or attack. Vulnerable position. Vulnerable group. Vulnerable to criticism. Vulnerable to attack. The elderly are particularly vulnerable to extreme weather conditions and illnesses. Children are vulnerable to various health concerns, especially during the winter season. Indispensable. Absolutely necessary or essential. Indispensable tool. Indispensable resource. Indispensable component. Indispensable knowledge. In today's fast-paced world, time management skills are indispensable for success. Public transportation is indispensable for people living in urban and crowded areas. Pervasive. Spread throughout, widespread influence. Pervasive influence. Pervasive smell. Pervasive corruption. Pervasive disorder. The influence of social media is pervasive, affecting nearly every aspect of daily life. The impact of globalization is pervasive, influencing cultures and economies worldwide. Coherent. Logical and consistent in thought or action. A coherent strategy. A coherent policy. A coherent plan. A coherent approach. In order to succeed, a coherent strategy must be developed and followed consistently. A coherent argument is essential for presenting a well-structured and persuasive essay. Haphazard. Lacking organization or planning, chaotic. Haphazard approach. Haphazard method. Haphazard manner. Haphazard arrangement. A haphazard approach to urban planning can lead to traffic congestion and pollution. A haphazard method of studying is less effective than a structured and organized plan. Compelling. Evoking strong interest or attention. A compelling argument. A compelling testimony. A compelling outcome. A compelling evidence. The novel presented a compelling story that captivated readers from start to finish. His compelling reasoning changed the opinions of those skeptical about his project. Consensus. General agreement among a group of people. A scientific consensus. A cross-party consensus. A broad consensus. A general consensus. Achieving a consensus in politics is often challenging due to opposing viewpoints. Corporate decisions should be made based on a consensus, not individual opinions. Ideology. A system of beliefs or principles. A political ideology. A religious ideology. A secular ideology. A liberal ideology. Many social movements emerge from strong ideological beliefs and shared values. Religious ideology influences various aspects of cultural and societal development. Abundant. Present in large quantities or amounts. Abundant resources. Abundant supply. Abundant evidence. Abundant opportunity. The region has an abundant supply of natural resources for economic development. Renewable energy sources are abundant, reducing dependence on fossil fuels globally. Diverse. Showing variety or differences in elements. Diverse population. Diverse background. Diverse interests. Diverse perspectives. Urban areas have diverse populations, contributing to multicultural development. A diverse curriculum helps students develop critical thinking and global awareness. Imminent. About to happen or occur very soon. An imminent threat. An imminent danger. An imminent attack. An imminent war. Scientists warn that an imminent environmental crisis requires urgent global action. Experts predict an imminent increase in global temperatures due to climate change. Landmark. An important event or historical milestone. Landmark decision. Landmark achievement. Landmark building. Landmark moment. The election was a landmark event that changed the country's political landscape. The research represents a landmark breakthrough in renewable energy technology. Momentum. The driving force or impetus of movement. Gain a momentum. Maintain a momentum. Keep momentum. Lose momentum. Technological innovation continues to build momentum in the global economy. Social movements gain momentum through online activism and media coverage. Contradict. To oppose or go against a statement. Contradict a statement. Contradict each other. Contradict the evidence. Contradict the theory. The data presented in the report contradicts the initial findings from earlier studies. Cultural traditions often contradict modern values, creating tension in many societies. Prolong. To make something last longer than expected. Prolong suffering. Prolong agony. Prolong conflict. Prolong recession. Advanced medical treatments can prolong life expectancy in critically ill patients. The negotiation process was prolonged due to disagreements among stakeholders. Volatile. Likely to change rapidly or unpredictably. A volatile market. A volatile economy. A volatile situation. A volatile region. His volatile behavior makes it difficult to predict how he will respond to situations. Due to volatile weather conditions, the hiking trip was postponed for safety reasons. Withstand. Endure or resist without giving way. Withstand an attack. Withstand a challenge. Withstand an onslaught. Withstand an earthquake. His determination allowed him to withstand the pressure of challenging circumstances. The protective coating helps the metal withstand corrosion and environmental damage. Introspective. Examining one's own thoughts and feelings. Introspective approach. Introspective analysis. Introspective thought. Introspective thinking. Introspective analysis is crucial for personal development and emotional intelligence. His introspective nature enables him to analyze his decisions critically and thoughtfully. Inevitable. Certain to happen, unavoidable outcome. Inevitable consequence. Inevitable decline. Inevitable result. Inevitable failure. Globalization has made cultural exchanges inevitable in today's interconnected society. Given their declining profits, the company's closure seemed inevitable and unavoidable. Pertinent. Relevant or directly related to the matter. Pertinent question. Pertinent information. Pertinent detail. Pertinent comment. His research provided pertinent information regarding climate change and its effects. Providing pertinent evidence strengthened his argument during the academic debate. Accelerate. Increase speed or rate of progress. Accelerate growth. Accelerate a process. Accelerate gradually. Accelerate rapidly. The company adopted digital strategies to accelerate its global market expansion. The government invested heavily to accelerate economic growth after the recession. Aesthetic. Concerned with beauty or artistic expression. Aesthetic beauty. Aesthetic appeal. Aesthetic response. Aesthetic judgment. Aesthetic considerations should not overshadow the need for sustainable materials. The fashion industry constantly evolves to meet the aesthetic preferences of consumers. Dysfunction. Impaired or abnormal functioning, often medical. Family dysfunction. Sexual dysfunction. Erectile dysfunction. Muscle dysfunction. Family dysfunction often results in long-term psychological issues for affected children. Social dysfunction arises when inequality and discrimination persist within communities. Ephemeral. Lasting for a very short time. Ephemeral beauty. Ephemeral success. Ephemeral pleasure. Ephemeral nature. The politician's popularity proved ephemeral after numerous scandals were exposed. The festival created an ephemeral sense of unity among diverse cultural communities. Coincidence. Occurrence of events by chance together. A happy coincidence. A strange coincidence. A creepy coincidence. A fortunate coincidence. The coincidence of their statements raised suspicion during the police investigation. It was no coincidence that both companies launched similar products simultaneously. Pioneering. Involved in developing or leading new areas. Pioneering work. Pioneering research. Pioneering concept. Pioneering initiative. The pioneering project introduced sustainable farming techniques in remote villages. The pioneering efforts of early astronauts paved the way for modern space exploration. Depiction. Representation or portrayal of something visually. A graphic depiction. An accurate depiction. A realistic depiction. A vivid depiction. An accurate depiction of cultural traditions preserves heritage for future generations. The documentary's depiction of climate change emphasizes its devastating concerns. Debunk. Expose the falseness of a belief. Debunk a myth. Debunk a theory. Debunk a rumor. Debunk an assumption. The scientists worked hard to debunk the myths surrounding climate change theories. He presented strong evidence to debunk the conspiracy theory about moon landings. Abandoned. Left behind or deserted without care. Abandoned boats. Abandoned buildings. Abandoned factories. Abandoned property. An abandoned warehouse near the park has become a hotspot for graffiti artists. The abandoned village tells a story of the hardships faced by its former inhabitants. Census. Official count of a population or survey. Conduct a census. Carry out a census. A population census. A nationwide census. The government uses census data to allocate funding for schools and hospitals fairly. Many countries conduct a census every decade to track population changes precisely. Distinct. Clearly different, or easily recognizable. A distinct class. A distinct category. A distinct type. A distinct entity. Each species has distinct characteristics that help them adapt to their environment. There is a distinct difference between theoretical knowledge and practical application. Empirical. Based on observation or experience, not theory. An empirical observation. An empirical finding. From empirical evidence. From empirical analysis. Empirical methods are essential for validating hypotheses in scientific disciplines. The empirical analysis of climate change highlighted alarming trends over the years. Genre. Category of artistic work or literature. A musical genre. A literary genre. A sci-fi genre. A popular genre. Science fiction is a popular genre that explores revolutionary themes and technology. The genre of horror films often explores themes of fear, death, and the supernatural. Heritage. Cultural traditions or historical background. A cultural heritage. An ancient heritage. A rich heritage. A musical heritage. The museum exhibits reflect the heritage of indigenous peoples and their ancestors. Historical buildings serve as important reminders of a country's architectural heritage. Indigenous. Originating naturally in a particular place. Indigenous community. Indigenous people. Indigenous language. Indigenous culture. Indigenous Indigenous cultures preserve unique traditions, languages, and knowledge systems. Many indigenous languages are endangered due to globalization and modernization. Metaphorical. Representing something symbolically, not literally. Metaphorical language. Metaphorical meaning. Metaphorical narrative. Metaphorical approach. Metaphorical interpretations vary based on cultural background and experiences. The metaphorical use of glass ceiling highlights gender inequality in workplaces. Ancestry. Lineage or family heritage from ancestors. Maternal ancestry. Paternal ancestry. Jewish ancestry. Muslim ancestry. Studying ancestry helps historians understand the migration patterns of civilizations. Genetic research helps individuals trace their ancestry and understand family heritage. Paradigm. Model or typical example of something. A new paradigm. A cultural paradigm. An economic paradigm. A scientific paradigm. The paradigm shift in technology has transformed industries and the global economy. The paradigm of family structures has evolved significantly over the past few decades. Recession. Period of economic decline or contraction. A global recession. A severe recession. An economic recession. Survive a recession. The recession affected the housing market, causing property prices to decline sharply. The recession led to a significant drop in consumer spending and business investments. Scrutinize. Examine closely and critically for details. Scrutinize a decision. Scrutinize an application. Scrutinize a proposal. Scrutinize a judgment. Journalists scrutinize government policies to ensure transparency and accountability. Politicians scrutinize budget proposals to ensure the allocation of resources is justified. Tentative. Not certain or fixed, provisional or experimental. A tentative agreement. A tentative settlement. A tentative conclusion. A tentative theory. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the tentative schedule for the event may change. The tentative nature of the agreement leaves room for negotiation and adjustment. Unanimous. Agreement or consent by everyone involved. A unanimous verdict. A unanimous agreement. A unanimous vote. A unanimous support. The Council's unanimous decision to increase funding benefits all local communities. The unanimous approval of the new law signalled broad support across political parties. Interference. Disruption or obstruction of normal operations. Government interference. State interference. Bureaucratic interference. Foreign interference. Excessive government interference can hinder economic growth and development. The scientist minimized external interference to ensure accurate experiment results. Rhetorical. Question or statement without expecting an answer. A rhetorical question. A rhetorical situation. A rhetorical device. A rhetorical analysis. Rhetorical devices enhance the persuasiveness of written and spoken arguments. A rhetorical question does not require an actual answer, but encourages thought. Undermine. Erode or weaken something gradually. Undermine a notion. Undermine a theory. Undermine an assumption. Undermine an argument. Poor communication can severely undermine a team's chances of achieving its goals. Misleading information in the media can undermine public confidence in authorities. Uniform. Consistent or the same throughout. Uniform distribution. Uniform consistency. Uniform proportion. Uniform approach. The uniform distribution of resources can help achieve social and economic equality. The team wore a uniform style of dress to present a cohesive and professional image. Arbitrary. Based on random choice or personal whim. Arbitrary decision. Arbitrary rule. Arbitrary selection. Arbitrary choice. The country's arbitrary laws make it difficult for citizens to navigate legal challenges. Arbitrary decisions by authorities often lead to feelings of injustice among the public. Reinforce. Strengthen or support an idea or action. Reinforce a perception. Reinforce a notion. Reinforce a belief. Reinforce a stereotype. Frequent revision reinforces memory retention and improves academic performance. Social media algorithms reinforce user engagement by showing personalized content. Profound. Deep, thoughtful, or intense in meaning. A profound impact. A profound effect. A profound influence. A profound implication. His research had a profound effect on medical advancements in cancer treatment. Her profound insights helped reshape the company's long-term strategic planning. Manifest. Display or show something clearly or visibly. Manifest a desire. Manifest symptoms. Manifest potential. Manifest an intention. The study's results manifest a strong correlation between diet and mental health. Economic inequality can manifest in disparities in education and healthcare access. Lucrative. Producing significant profit or financial gain. Lucrative business. Lucrative career. Lucrative deal. Lucrative opportunity. Social media influencers often secure lucrative sponsorship deals with major brands. The demand for renewable energy has created lucrative job opportunities worldwide.